Open arc. Very exciting, I know. These are exciting times. And I'm going to open up the project that I just had, my Lab 8 remote. And my map comes up again, so I'm going to go back to the edit ribbon. Snapping is still on, so I'm going to go ahead and hit create. Select Deadman Box, because we're doing the box feature first. Line tool, good. So now, if I hold the cursor over, see this blue text that shows up here on the right, coordinates UTM point? That's the snapping that I want to start digitizing these polygons. So I'm going to go ahead and hit create, hit Deadman Box, good. I'm going to click this first one, and I'm going to snap down to this lower one. I'm going to go over here, and then I'm going to, on my final one, I'm going to double click. And voila, highlighted in blue now is my first digitized polygon, Deadman Box. So if you don't double click, when you're done, you can also just hit this green check mark down here, which is the finish button. However, just because you finished doesn't mean you saved. So from the edit ribbon, you have to hit that purple floppy disk save to save the polygon you just created. And that's very important that we do that. So I hit saved, I'm good to go. What you want to do now is we want to change the symbology of our Deadman Box so that we just see the outline so we can snap to it, but obviously I can't see any of the other polygons underneath here right now. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to click to modify that symbol, and I'm going to go over to properties. I'm going to give it no color as a fill. I'm going to make the outline something bright that I can see very easily, maybe make it 2 or 3 points, and hit apply. And I'm going to clear my selections so that it actually shows up as the color I chose rather than still selected in blue. So that is Deadman Box. The next one that we're going to digitize is Deadman Others, and that is all of these polygons. The only one that we're not going to digitize is this giant polygon D43 that goes all throughout the page. When we do the union between Deadman Park Box and the polygons themselves, it will automatically, Arc will do some math and be like, wait, this is a polygon too, and it's going to create that one for us. So let's go ahead and start digitizing Deadman Others. So we go back to the edit ribbon, create. Here's where it's important to make sure you select Deadman Others. We're not on Deadman Box anymore. So select Deadman Others, and I'm going to go ahead and walk through a couple with you so that you get the hang of it. And the first one I'm going to do F43. That way, when I do G31, just to the right of it, I can show you how to use the trace tool. The trace tool makes it so that I'm going to end up drawing the border for all of F43. If I was trying to draw each little vertex again, each of those vertices again, it would be pretty hard to get it perfectly right. But the trace tool will use the vertices that I've already laid down for the previous polygon, and that'll make that as the border of G31 over here on the west. So to start off with, I just kind of want to get into a good view. You might have to switch back and forth between Explore and digitizing a few times here, but you want to have a good enough view where you can kind of get in here and really get accurate clicks as you're digitizing each of the little points here. So on some of the straightaways, you might not have to drop as many, but on some of these more rounded areas, you're going to have to drop a lot of little points in order to accurately create that polygon. So let's see here. Select Deadman Others, and the way I'm going to start off is I'm going to start off here. And look, I can just snap to Deadman Box. So I go ahead. This means that this boundary will be identical to the one I created for my Deadman Box feature. So I start, snap to Deadman Box, and now what I'm doing is I'm clicking very carefully. Should probably zoom in a little more. I think I will. Oh, that was a problem though. It looks like when I zoomed in, oh, I can use the arrow keys to navigate. Okay. When I zoomed in and went to explore, it stopped my creation. So be careful with that. You might want to figure out another way to navigate, whether that's with the arrow keys. Sometimes if you have a mouse with a click wheel, you can press down on the click wheel and this hand will show up so you can move things around. But let's see here. So I need to start over again. Dead Man Others. My toolbar shows up. Can I still navigate with the cursor or with the mouse keys? Great. Keyboard keys. So here we go. I started off on that shared border with Dead Man Box. Every time you get to an intersection, like I'm about to here, where a few lines meet, make sure to drop a point somewhere in the center of it. That's going to be very crucial when you're trying to use the trace tool and connect those polygons later. So here we go. Basically, you can see that the center of all the lines are dark black, and then the outside where it's kind of curving is gray. Basically, you want to make sure you're clicking on that black portion of the line to make sure you're really following the boundary of that polygon. So I go down here. And of course, some of you are probably doing this with a mouse, which I bet is a lot easier. I'm using the little touchscreen pad on my MacBook Air, which is not the ideal way to do this, but we're getting the job done. So this is kind of a straightaway right here. I can kind of drop a point right there, and I'm still on that black line. And let's see here. Getting pretty close. I can see the end. So, working my way around. Sometimes, if this shaded part is getting in the way, you might have to try to zoom in a little bit more or just click very carefully. But if I click out here or over here or somewhere way off right now, it's pretty hard to fix that. So make sure to take the time you need to get it where it needs to be. So my last point is going to be back on Dead Man Box. So I haven't clicked it yet. I'm just going to double click, and there, I've created the first polygon for Dead Man Others. And if I didn't double click, I could go ahead and just hit finish, and that would do the same thing. But remember, after each polygon, each one, are you listening? Each one, go to the edit ribbon, make sure to hit that save floppy disk. Now this polygon is saved. So that's just using the line tool. Now I'm going to do one demo for you with the trace tool so you can get the hang of that, because that's going to be pretty important as well. So next we're going to go ahead and do G31, this polygon that's right next to F43. So I'm going to zoom in. Remember, the trace tool is going to allow us to use this shared border that we already drew, so we won't have to draw this border a second time. So for this one, make sure I'm still on Dead Man Others. Good. I'm going to select the trace tool, and I'm going to zoom in to the vertex that I put right in the center of these three lines. Remember, I said that one was important. I'm going to click. And then as you can see, as I just pull the cursor down following this border, this little dashed line that shows that I'm drawing it keeps following me. And that's what I want it to do. I want it to let me use the border from this polygon that I already drew to be the boundary, the same adjacent boundary for the polygon that I'm working on. Now when it flips over here, so it's over here right now, it doesn't look like much, but it's doing the right thing. Once we start cutting back over to the right, to the east here, our shaded polygon will keep following us. So this probably looks a little weird on the video, but so I'm basically going to follow it so that dashed line follows me all the way around here, and then I'm going to click. So it showed all these different vertices I dropped earlier. Now I have to switch back to my line tool. And then the next point that I'm going to do, since the corner of G31 is here in the corner of the map, I'm going to go ahead and click this bottom corner of the page. That's my next vertex. Then I have to find the border over here. Still snap to the box. That's my next one. And now I can start the hitherto undigitized border of this polygon. And you can see the polygon's getting in my way a little bit here, so I might have to zoom in some to get it right. Looking pretty good. Trying to stay on that black part of the line so that I'm really following the curve and the shape of this polygon. And as Rocky likes to say, digitizing is really fun for about 15 minutes. Let's see here. I might zoom out just a little bit here. And so my main point in doing this polygon was just to demonstrate that trace tool for you. The important thing to remember is when you're done with the trace tool, make sure that you switch back to the line tool. And if you're doing a polygon that has a vertex in the corner of the page, remember that you have to click that vertex as well. So, we're getting somewhere. Might take us a little while, especially on my little Mac. We're going to get there. And again, like I said, if you click way off, you can play with some of these settings about modifying vertices, but there's a good chance that it might just be easier, as sad as it might make you, it might just be easier to actually redraw that polygon. So here's a point where the shading's getting in the way, and I have to zoom in order to click where I actually want to. But that never lasts for too long before you're able to kind of get it back where you need it. Oops. So let's see. I'm coming up to another meeting of 3 lines, so I want to make sure to drop one vertex right here in the center, and then I can start heading back over to the left side of the page. And let's see what I got. There we go. There we go. And look, I'm back. So I can click right there. If you click once, then you just have to hit the green check mark and it calls it finished, or I could have double clicked there as well. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save and save all my edits. So now my second polygon is digitized, and you're going to follow that same process for the rest of these polygons. So you might want to pause the video. You know how to use the trace tool now. Make sure not to digitize D43, but you're going to digitize the rest of these polygons. Use the trace tool whenever you have a shared border, and then I will meet up with you at the next video, which is when we're going to do the union between Dead Man Others and Dead Man Box. And that will create this D43 polygon for us. All right, see y'all in a minute.